Elliot had never missed a train in his life. He prided himself on being punctual, almost to the point of obsession, but tonight was different. The train station was nearly empty, save for a sleepy-looking ticket clerk and a janitor sweeping up stray candy wrappers. The last train to Everwood was due in 5 minutes, and Elliot was the only passenger on the platform. He checked his watch, 11 p.m., right on time. A cold wind howled through the station, making him pull his coat tighter around himself. That was when he noticed something strange. There was no sound of an approaching train, no distant rumble of wheels on tracks, no whistle in the distance, just silence. The station clock ticked, 11:07, 11:58. Still no train. Elliot turned to the ticket clerk. "Excuse me, is the last train to Everwood still coming?" The clerk, an elderly man with deep lines on his face, looked up at him with tired eyes. "Son," he said in a low voice, "the last train to Everwood hasn't run in 40 years. Elliot frowned. "That can't be right. I bought a ticket earlier today." He pulled it from his pocket and held it up. The janitor stopped sweeping. The clerk squinted at the ticket. A strange silence fell over the room. "Where did you get that?" the clerk whispered. "I bought it at the counter," Elliot insisted. "This afternoon. The cashier told me the train leaves at midnight." The old man shook his head slowly. "That train only comes for those who are meant to take it." Elliot felt a chill run down his spine. He turned back toward the tracks, and his breath caught in his throat. A train had appeared. It stood silently at the platform, its steel frame gleaming under the flickering station lights. Its doors slid open with a whisper. Elliot hesitated. Something about the train felt wrong. The windows were dark. The air around it was colder than it should be. The clerk put a hand on Elliot's arm. "Son, you have a choice," he said gravely. "If you get on that train, you may not come back." Elliot stared at the open doors. He had no recollection of why he was going to Everwood. In fact, he wasn't even sure he had ever heard of the place before today. The whistle blew, low and mournful. The doors began to close. Elliot took a step forward. Then another, and then the train was gone. The platform was empty. The clerk let out a breath and shook his head. "Close one," he muttered. Elliot looked down at his hands. The ticket had vanished. The janitor gave him a knowing look. "Some trains ain't meant to be caught," he said before turning back to his sweeping. Elliot stood there for a long time, wondering where that train had really been headed, and what would have happened if he had stepped inside. He never missed a train.